Good evening. This is your host, Legendary, and we're back again one more time with Toy With Me. Today, we're bringing an exciting episode, taking a look back at everything that happened this year during 2024. Today, we have two amazing guests, um, and neither one is stranger to the kink and fetish community. However, one of our guests is a little new to the stage and new to Project Vita. It is the wonderful, the beautiful, the vivacious, the amazing MzBeahaven. Um, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And then we also have one of my favorite people, Mufasa Ali. Thank you both. MzBeahaven, can you share a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself to all these wonderful people who may or may not know you?
My name is MzBeahaven, born and raised Chicago. I have a production group called Creative Soul Entertainment. I am also the creator of Unleash Your Inhibitions, which is a multidisciplinary, erotic, burlesque, sexy ass show with spoken word, and models and dancers. We like to enhance the experience. This is the foreplay to anything that you may have going down. So check us out, Unleash Your Inhibitions. And I'm really delighted to be here to talk about my favorite topic with some delicious men between. This is a nice sandwich. So
If you're trying to get me to blush, well, come on now. Let me expand myself.
I am a flirt. So yes, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We love having you here.
Thank you.
The idea is of Toy With Me is just introducing the community to different parts of the community. And Mufasa Ali, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much. And I am Mufasa Ali, founder of the Men of Onyx, and a presenter and keynote speaker at many conferences across the U.S. On issues of BDM and sexuality, BDM and spirituality, impact play, and leather family. I just did ethical non-monogamy and a workshop on isms up in Seattle. And so I'm glad to be here. I also have a contest that is the Leather Man of Color contest, which is held here in Chicago, and do a number of other things in ministry and in the BDSM community. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you both. Again, the purpose is to introduce all walks of life in promoting sex positivity and having a safe space. I repeat, a safe space in that as we're promoting that. And also discussing sexual education and a little bit of kink and burlesque and all the things in between. So let's start off with a quick popcorn question. And we're going to do it like at the funerals. You got 2 minutes. With this icebreaker, how did you get introduced to the kink and fetish world? And it's always ladies first in my book.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Well, I would say that I still consider myself a newbie. You know, I'm a student always. I'm a work in progress always, student of life. So I I got introduced probably later on. Like I've been doing Unleash Your Inhibitions for about 15 years. And just in the last 5 years, I started running into different individuals, different lifestyles, and becoming more open and becoming educated. So with that, it has enhanced my not only my productions but also in my personal life, being educated by the BDSM community. So with that said, the educators, the practitioners, people that I've just kind of been led into with kid gloves, you know, in a safe space, being introduced to the dungeons and understanding what roles are recently. And I'm enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying the journey. I feel like it's not a race. You know, wherever you start in your life, you just go with it. And that's where I am. So I'm a newbie to it. I like to say that humbly.
I'm probably not considered a newbie. A few decades in. And I growing up in New York and growing up around Greenwich Village and growing up with the dance clubs at the time, and Leathermen would show up at the dance clubs, of course, in their gear. And that just sparked an interest in the attire, that sparked an interest in what they were doing. And there were leather bars in Greenwich Village, and just started exploring and exploring and exploring and deeper into the community. And that led me to where I am today.
So funny story. I initially got introduced to the kink and leather community because I'm a nudist. And I became a nudist in 2018. I went to a nude party and I was nervous as hell. My arms was sweating. Folks ain't know I was going to the bathroom, taking paper towels to dry the sweat off. Long story short, I met a couple of people, Voodoo and Cheshire, who invited me to a bar night. And I'm like, okay. So I went to the bar night. However, I grew up very religious, like super religious. Father's been pastoring since I was 8. But long story short, they gave me a mask to wear because I was afraid to show my face. The very first time I came with to a toy with me was when we were in the little bitty building down the street around the corner. And Al, who is a member of Onyx, was doing a demo on impact, food play, wax play, all in one. And Voodoo was like that parent who was sitting at the back of the room. He'll volunteer. And I was like, oh, I will. And ever since then, I've been hooked. What the community has taught me, though, is to be, I became legendary, one, because of my headspace. I can go a little bit deep into headspace, just a little bit. And 2, it is because of my orgasms, but I'd have to talk to you all offline about that. Moving right along.
Well, damn.
Right.
I'm sitting there like, well, we 5 minutes in. What?
Listen,
January topic.
we may get to that. In fact, it could possibly part of January's topic from my own standpoint. But it's not about me, it's about y'all. I'm
Look,
learning
fast
y'all.
forward.
So January, it talked about sexual health and sexual awareness. And more important, it talked about self-pleasure and what that looks like. And so my first question to you all is, why is self-pleasure, number one, important? And number two, what is the sexual empowerment of self-pleasure? We'll start with Mufasa this time.
Well, I think the important part of self-pleasure is undemonizing it, because it's such in our culture,
Undemonizing, say more.
in our culture, self-pleasure is demonized. That masturbation or pleasing yourself is of the devil. I've heard that many times in people of color circles based on religion. And in that, there's a human need for pleasure. And there's a Maslow's hierarchy. There's all different types of things that say that. But then the scriptures and pastors and those say, keep your hands, away from yourself. But it also empowers you to know your body, and to know your body, to know what stimulates you, so that when you are with a partner, you can ask for those things and you can enjoy those things coming from another person, and not only yourself. So it's important, I think, to just know yourself, know thyself, so that you can be a better partner with other people, but also in those times when you feel the need to be for that release, that you can and will and are empowered to do it.
MzBeahaven.
This is fun.
I told you. Listen, we just pretend we at the kitchen table and we just gonna be talking.
Look, we're on the sofa and my shoes are off and I'm ready with the tea. So I think that self-pleasure is important. Like, the name in itself, pleasure. Who does not want to be pleasured? I think that it's healthy. It's healthy for yourself, for your well-being. You need to know what you like. And if you don't know what you like, your partner's definitely not going to know what you like. So I think it starts with you first. So start from the beginning, just like on Monopoly board. You start there. Do not pass go until you have an orgasm for yourself. That's how I look at it. That's right. That's empowerment enough.
Definitely.
That's a good way to look at it.
That is a good way to look
That's
at
right.
it.
Next time you play Monopoly, just think about that.
I hate Monopoly, though. Really? Well, we'll go. That's another story.
I mean, think of Boardwalk.
Boardwalk, okay.
Boardwalk.
We'll go. Risk, maybe.
That's like 3 orgasms. Boardwalk is the equivalent.
Okay.
There you go.
We'll go there.
Yep.
They do now have Robert Monopoly, so maybe I'll like that.
Well, there you go. Play strip Monopoly.
Oh, okay.
Shut your mouth.
Man, I got ideas.
You did make me think about some things. And speaking of, because I know you wanted me to answer the question. So when it came to orgasms, good news is, well, I'll start with the bad news. Bad news is I had a concussion in 2017, hit my head, lost a bunch of memory, semi-amnesia, some memory still isn't back. But it increased my orgasms. And it increased it even more when I was in deep headspace. I ain't gonna lie, and Mufasa has seen it, I have been so deep in headspace before or during an orgasm that it's literally taken me about an hour to come out, maybe 2.
I'm almost jealous.
It
I've been there.
it is almost, but literally like you could lightly touch me at the time when it was happening, and it was like your car get turned off and the car get turned right back on. I would shake from head to toe. I had someone I had a partner one time almost called 911 because he thought I was having a stroke. And the joke that I tell people at work, if I'm lying, I'm light-skinned, and I'm a few shades from being light-skinned. So the next question is, and I think you guys kind of answered it, so I'm going to switch to this other question. How can we explore new techniques or tools for self-pleasure? Are there new tools? Can there be?
Well, I think there's always new ways and new ideas because my ideas are not your ideas, and my way of self-pleasure may not be your way of self-pleasure. So I think constant education or exploration, not even education, but exploration helps you to grow and helps you to explore more of your body, because we grow in different ways, and to explore what that is for you. Is it, this type of video versus that type of video that excites you? Is it this type of toy or that type of new toy that excites you? Is it, what is it that does that for you? And so, yes, there are always new ways. There's new growth, new ways of doing things for yourself, with yourself, exploration. Some people's nipples were not eroticized before, but now they are, or they go through nipple play, or they go through nipple enlargement, and then there's a whole new thing that happens for them, as a case in point. So, of course, there are new ways of doing things, and self-exploration is key.
So, MzBeahaven, I want to ask you a different question.
Oh, man. Okay, go ahead.
Look, rapid fire, baby, rapid fire.
Okay.
So when we're talking about, so this question is going to lead into February. So when we're talking about self-pleasure and role play and self-pleasure when it comes to being in a partnered relationship, and it could be a partner for a permanent partner or a partner for the next 20 minutes. You choose. What does that look like?
What does that look like?
Mm-hmm. For you.
For me?
Mm-hmm. Because we ain't doctors, we just playing one on TV.
Okay. Me blushing is a paid actor. Okay, how about that? Okay, so real quick, I do want to answer that question, the previous question, because I was thinking about that long and hard. And I think that wherever you are, like in this space right now, tools. There are several tools in here that can pleasure me. Like, you have to be creative. So in wherever room, if you're at home, you got tools. You got things to use to pleasure yourself. So be creative with that. Just don't electrocute yourself or anything. Just make sure you
Not by yourself.
Just unplug. Unplug before you start. Lubricate. Example? Examples? In here?
It could be in here. It could be in your own home. Because listen, you can't open the door and not allow people to walk in. So
We like to talk about it.
So tell me more. Tell me more.
Okay. Well, let me tell you. When you misbehave in the space by yourself, make sure that, first of all, make sure that wherever you are is clean, okay? You don't want anything weird happening to your body, if you know what I mean. Make it clean, okay? Make it clean. Me personally, I like to set the mood. I am one of those ambient type of individuals. I need candles or I need smell goods. I need a room freshener to give me that vibe. Music, it's not required because I feel like my orgasms when I make noise, that's a song. So I go a cappella.
Oh, yes.
I go a cappella.
Well,
But you think about things around here. I mean, there are chords, you know, if you're into restraint, if you know how to do some rope, you can learn how to tie yourself up. So go on YouTube University, learn something, tie yourself up. Whether you're just tying your legs up, give you that sensation. So different materials works. Pillowcases, all that. If you don't know how to tie, then use a pillowcase and slip both feet in there. There's your restraint right there. Have fun.
I would say for me, the best place that I've seen is there's a store down the street, the Dollar Tree.
I like that place.
And so I'm very, sensory play is big on me. And so if you go down the pet aisle, they have a lot of tactile things. I've also used paintbrushes. I've used toothbrushes.
You could definitely be a Picasso in your own home.
But I'm not talking about just by myself. See, we're going to move on to February, because February, that's when we talked about role play, masquerade, blending creative juices and connections. And so how can you talk? So first question we want to talk about is being comfortable and being in a comfort zone with role play. What does that look like?
I mean, it's imagination. It's also taking things that were familiar to you. I was involved in sports almost all my life, and so therefore, you know, there's coach and player or coach, and you know, and there are many different scenarios that you can put yourself in or that you have been in that can help you enhance a sexual role play or a role play or a situation that is a power exchange. And many times in role play, there'll be a power exchange or there'll be a sense of submission or a sense of domination or a sense of just play and imagination. And so it's up to you as to how you construct that, but it's playtime. And so therefore, you know, is a policeman pulling you over to give you a ticket and you talk your way out of it? Or is there, are you playing doctor? You know, nurse and patient, or patient and doctor, or nurse and doctor, or there are many, many different scenarios that you can dream up in your head that may be exciting. And sometimes costumes come with it. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes, you know, you get creative, and sometimes you just go with the imagination and go with the mind. And so there's many different ways to do that. And it may spice up your life.
And one thing I do want to interject and say that we say on the show, MzBeahaven said today before we started, Consent is sexy. Say it with me, y'all. Consent is sexy. It's okay to stop in the middle of a scene. If you don't feel comfortable, no means no. MzBeahaven.
Yes.
So I have a question for you. You described yourself as being a newbie, even though you're not really a newbie. You're just someone who is like a Pokemon. You're ever evolving. What advice would you give to someone who is a newbie? Or is they meet the right person and they want somebody to pop that role play cherry?
First off, the role play cherry. You just call me a Pokemon. Well, I just be Pikachu. I'm just Pikachu. Pokemon.
So if we're gonna talk about that, listen,
I'm Jigglypuff. That's actually my favorite.
shut the front door, because Jigglypuff can sing.
Yeah.
But see, if we're gonna talk about it, the real issue with some Pokemon is that they've evolved. It's just not everyone saw the place of it, of their evolution. And so Pikachu evolved. It's just, there was a step before he became Pikachu. Well, she became Pikachu because Pikachu is a girl.
I'm totally lost.
We done turned into a whole.
A blurred.
But as for a newbie, what I would say, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself of what you want to get out of it. This is a journey for you. It's not something that you don't people please. You don't want to go into it like, okay, I see that my partner likes it, so let me do it for them. No, it has to be something that you do for yourself. Learn what you like. And if you don't know, then explore. Do your own research. Ask those real questions. Vet. Do a lot of vetting.
What is vetting?
You know what vetting is. Vetting.
I
is
know,
an
but they
interview.
don't know.
Interview the person of interest. You know, if you're looking for a dom, you know, you have those questions, you know, and you let them know, like, what are your hard no's, those hard points. You're like, look, I've had trauma when I was a kid. I cannot be locked up. I cannot be tied. I can't keep that away from me. All those, you have to state what you cannot tolerate, will not tolerate, don't want to experience. However, I want to experience this. Communication is key. And again, consent is sexy. If you have a partner that does not respect you, when you say no and you mean that shit, then either you're going to get the police or get somebody to whoop that ass. No, I don't condone violence. But however, protect yourself and be your own advocate. And know that you have allies to if you ever feel like you're in an unsafe situation. Safety first. So that's kind of what I will always tell someone. Like, if you want to be involved in with someone, do your research, know what you like, know your hard points, and what you won't tolerate. Because they're in any community, there are people who are just not so nice and not forthcoming. So if you're looking to be with someone, ask around. You know, your vetting process is asking around, hey, okay, I'm interested, but do you know about this person? Let them tell you. You know, reputation is key. We want to see you out there and have fun. You know, if it's scary for you, then don't do it.
That's deep. So we're trying to move on. We're going to try to get to November eventually.
Okay.
Next, it's March. So March was where we talked about topping and bottoming, communication, trust, pleasure, pain, all the above. We're going to go back to you, MzBeahaven. What are your thoughts about heterosexual men and penetration when it comes to them being penetrated by a woman?
A woman penetrating a man? What are my thoughts about it? Okay, pegging.
So what is pegging? Let's start there. So we're going so the way we're doing this today is we giving them a one-on-one class.
Oh, okay.
So just because we know, the people out there might not know.
Okay.
Remember, they're the fourth wall.
But you're invited into the house. So we're breaking down the walls.
So what is pegging?
Okay, so pegging is penetrating. Point blank.
And so when it comes to pegging, one of the things that I have heard some men say that there is a sense of shame when it becomes to pegging, but
By a woman?
by a woman. But can you speak on whatever you know of the situation?
I cannot speak on that because personally, I am not interested in pegging my man.
All right then. So for you both, what are some myths about topping and bottoming? And something that we did bring up before, that is not just topping and bottoming as in penetration, but also topping and bottoming in a scene.
Well, I think people often assume who the top in a relationship is or who the bottom is in a relationship, and oftentimes they could be wrong. My boy is 6'4", so he's taller than me and larger than me, but that doesn't. But he is a bottom to me. So people often sometimes get based upon a small person versus a tall person, or or an older person versus a younger person. They often get the relationship wrong. The only person that knows the relationship is you, the real relationship. So there are a lot of assumptions made that are wrong. So communication is key. Communication is definitely key in finding out and understanding what is going on, because there definitely are myths about how to bottom and how to top, and those types of things are definitely things that can be learned on the internet and through trial and error, of course. But also there's information out there about health, sexual health, how to bottom, how to prepare yourself to bottom, what a top needs to know. So there are things out there now that we didn't have, resources when I was growing up, that are at your fingertips. Google is God, for information. And so it's out there. There are YouTube videos. Project Vita has videos. Project Vita has, information sessions on how to prepare yourself if this is what you desire. And again, we don't force anyone into a certain position, because that's not sexy. Consent is sexy. But if you find yourself wanting to be in that particular position, learn and be safe.
Anything you want to add?
I think that although in my personal experience, that's not my interest, there is no right or wrong. If that's what you decide to do, then have at it. Be happy with it. But do your research. Do your research and know how to safely enjoy yourself.
I'm going to ask a question to the question
Okay.
for you. You discussed that, child, my brain is drawing a blank. You discussed about being a switch.
Yes.
What is that, and how do you get different?
Experiences. I have different experiences.
You used the word experience. I was going to use the word gratification. So explain.
Okay.
Does it feel differently being a top in a scene versus being a bottom in a scene?
Yes. Yes, it does. For me.
So the mic want to know, how does it feel different?
How does it feel different? Not every role means it's a sexual experience. There's also the mental, in addition to physical, or just withdraw the physical. So as a switch, I like to, of course, be submissive, depending on the individual I'm with. In the other cases, my partner wants to be dominated. So I am doing all things to make him my pet. My pet. He's there to serve me. So those are the roles when I say I switch, depending on the person I'm with.
For me, it's also depending on the headspace I'm in. Because I have moments where I might want to top, I might want to bottom, I might want to switch in the middle of the scene. It just depends on where I'm at.
Like I like, the worship, the feet worship. So that's my thing.
Moving into Sante. Well, it's time for a commercial break. We got a beautiful, amazing toy box. How you get the toy box? Easy. Either you could come in to Project Vita on Fridays or Saturdays, get tested, or there's a whole link. Click the link, you send out, they'll send you stuff. They'll send you stuff to get tested. You send it back to Project Vita, and you get a toy box. When I tell you each toy box is different, make sure you get one of these amazing boxes. I got about 5 on my back porch. Mind your business, mind your business. There is a whole number you can call, 773-277-2291. So we're going to do a little rapid fire, and we're going to do a question per month. And so I need y'all to stay with me here. So April, that's when we talked about tantric practices being the blending of intimacy and spirituality. With those practices, I want y'all to give me your 1 minute and 15-second answer about what are some beginner-friendly tantric techniques. Lord Jesus, too many T's. People can explore.
Breath work. Breath work is very important. Eye gazing, that helps. So I'm just cutting it short.
Oh, I agree. Definitely breath work and being present, making sure that you are present in the moment. And sometimes music can help that, and sometimes definitely concentration can help with that. And so therefore, those are some of the ways that you can begin that intimate practice that leads you to a spiritual plane.
And so then in May, we had Voodoo Onyx came, and he did a fashion show, and we talked about clothing and how it helped empower people. Quick question. What are some tips that you found when finding the right outfit to help someone feel sexy?
Oh, I'm all into playing dress up. I am a woman who loves heels, and I love to walk in them and walk on my partner with them. So start with heels, ladies. Start with heels. But ways to get to feel sexy. I think that the cosplay, for those who are fairies, or just want to do, just regular, just regular clothing, and just learning how to just peel off each article of clothing. I think every movement should be intentional, whether you're doing it yourself or your partner is removing it from you. So finding what works for you. Now, I've been told that the lingerie is really for ladies. We like to feel pretty, we like to feel sexy, confident, and the guys are like, okay, well, that's cute. No,
Now take it off.
take it off, take it off, take it off. But keep the shoes on, keep the shoes on, keep the shoes on. So that's what I've experienced. So I want to feel sexy by going into a store or online and imagining myself peeling off.
So then we'll move on to June. June, that was where we talked about power dynamics. Daddies, masters, in their roles within consensual BDSM relationships. Mufasa, I know that you know a little lot about that because I know you have boys and sons and you mentor people in the community. How can someone explore a dynamic if they're curious about it or inexperienced?
Again, vetting is key, based upon how you feel and how you start to identify, and that could change over time, of course. And sometimes you're just seen in that role by others that want to serve you or want to be with you in family or in relationship, and you adopt that role. And whether that role fits you or not is up to you to determine that relationship. And so consent and vetting is key. And there are different types of roles that are all power exchange situations in some way, shape, or form, whether that's sexual or non-sexual, because there is mentorship and there are boys that are service boys or girls that are service girls, where there is no sex involved at all. There are others that are just play partners, where there's just BDM practices that are exchanged. And so, therefore, there are different dynamics in community, ma'ams and sirs and mistresses and a number of things that correlate to our regular lives. We have mothers. I have leather mothers, and I have leather sisters, and I am a daddy to some people. I'm a papa to an organization, or a daddy to an organization per se, and fit that role versus even a personal daddy. I'm a covered master. I don't choose to use that title. Some people use that title to me, but that was given to me by the community as an honor of how I'm seen in community and what I've done for community. And so that title is there as well. And so we honor those titles when they're in personal relationships or in community. I don't expect anyone who is not in relationship with me to necessarily call me master or call me daddy. But if I'm in relationship with those individuals, then that is a personal relationship, and that kind of guides our relationship with each other.
That's deep. Quick notes version, make sure you rely on the community and talk to the community. Next, we're going to take another break. we're going to see what the people from Mount Sinai have to say.
Hey,
Roll
tell
that.
them what you doing tonight.
Hey Eric, Project BDAT is doing a Toy With Me party on Zoom.
Nice. What's that all about?
They focused on different sex-positive topics, and they're going to be offering free home HIV testing kits through Sinai Infectious Disease Center.
HIV home test kits. How does that work?
So they're going to share a link in the chat where you can sign up to get your home test kit.
Okay, I've been wanting to get tested, but I didn't really want to leave the house.
I feel you. You just give them your contact info, and someone from Sinai will contact you to send out your free home HIV testing kits. They'll put it in an unmarked box to your mailbox.
Okay, then I do the test by myself. It sounds kind of difficult.
It's not that hard. Once you get the test kit, it's pretty easy. Just follow the step-by-step directions, and you'll get your results in about 20 minutes. Let Sinai know that you took the test and what your results were, and you can even call them and they'll walk you through it. Sinai will then contact Project Vita to let them know that you took the test, and they'll send you out a complimentary gift bag.
Can they also help me access PrEP and any other sexual health needs?
Yeah, of course. Sinai partner up with Project Vita to provide sexual health education, prevention tools, and medical treatment to the community. And they have lots of services too.
Sounds awesome. I definitely want to go and get tested at home, and I'll do the Toy With Me party too.
To build your closet. So we're going to transition into July. July was where Project Vita came to Southside Pride, and it just talked about the LGBTQIA+, or as I like to say, the alphabet community, the alphabet mafia, whatever you want to say, the rainbow peoples. Their history, their joy, their community building. And the reason why I love that is because in the Black and brown community, we believe in building community. Speaking of, one of the questions I want to ask you both, give me the 30 to 45-second version of this. One, how allies can support and celebrate the community. That's first part. And two, how has the kink community played a huge role in activism in the community?
As an ally, I truly support, would you say the alphabet? I truly support, there are conditions in the city of Chicago alone that needs to be addressed. And we have to protect our community. You know, whatever lifestyle you have, you choose, you are born into, know that there are allies, there are advocates out there to protect and support and educate, whether we're going into different platforms or we're going into different organizations, even some schools. You know, I think it's important to, you know, to bring that out.
I think that allies can support my truth. The thing is they have to believe my truth and not, it's not about them. It's about me. And so therefore, I'm never going to be, I'm not a woman. And so, but I support what women stand for and what they need for themselves as an ally. And so it's the same for our community. And I think that people need to shift the focus from themselves and onto the other individual and receive their truth and believe their truth and celebrate with them in their truth.
Beautifully said. So then August, we discussed the history and evolution of cruising and different aspects of and forms of cruising. So we talked about the apps, going to the parks, being safe, making sure you have a safety net when you go cruising. Make sure you're also advocating for yourself when you're talking about cruising. And then we fast forward to September. So September, we talked about, and I like that show. It was talking about exploring queer, kink, and spirituality and defining it in the community with sacredism and non-traditional things. And one of the things I want to ask when you're thinking about kink, how do you bridge your kinky self to your spiritual self?
Well, I think you are one, and they are one. It's an understanding of how you ascend within yourself, and how you make certain things sacred in play. Is the in impact play, the St. Andrew's Cross becomes an altar that you are sacrificing someone to or on and with consent, that you're taking them on a journey. What are the implements of that take you there? Those are sacred, and some people, love the implements and love what they stand for, and that is very personal. And so I think that there is a sacredness in and of itself of how you approach BDSM and how you approach your play. Yes, it's fun, but it can also take you into a space of that no one else is going to, a headspace that no one else is going to be, because it's your headspace, and that's sacred.
We're multidimensional, multi-layered. So you can't just say that I'm just this and lose yourself because you're in this space. So it's an individual journey. That's what I'll say.
Now we went into October. And October was the month where we celebrated the intersection of drag, trans identity, and creating a harmony between the two. As someone a part of the community, MzBeahaven, what are some societal expectations of when you think of gender and the trans and drag community that you know of?
What do I think?
What are some challenges that you may see?
Societal challenges?
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes there's an there's an expectation sometimes that's unrealistic, that society tends to put onto the community. I think that as a performer, when I perform with, the impersonators and the drag shows I'm a part of, there's a sense of strong community understanding, and then respect, and there are boundaries set in certain spaces.
Mm-hmm.
I do impersonations with a gentleman by the name of Tim Bohar. He impersonates Luther Vandross. Marvelous.
Does a great job.
Great job,
Yes,
great
great
job.
job.
So he and we currently are impersonating Ashford and Simpson. So
I could see it,
I definitely can see it.
especially the hair.
So shameless plug, new Celebrity Lounge, Vicky Jose, shout out to you. we would be there doing Ashford and Simpson.
What day
But-
is that?
I'm sorry?
What day?
What day? Wednesday nights. Wednesday
Okay.
nights. Every Wednesday nights is Illusionist in concert. So we are doing Ashford and Simpson, Whitney Houston, and Phyllis Hyman. So
Amen.
if you know Erica, you know Erica's gonna do Phyllis right. But back to that, there is sometimes there's some expectations that are just unrealistic, and we as human beings, period, we are responsible for setting the tone. No matter where you are in life, we're responsible for that.
Next, we'll move on to November, which was our last month. That one was kind of eye-opening for me, partly because we don't discuss the fact that, one, the high rate of Black and brown sisters who are missing, and their, when it comes to their, I'll use the word the kids I used to work with say, when it comes to the vanilla counterparts, they're in the news. When it comes to Black and brown people, period, they don't talk about when we come missing. And so one of the things that I got from last month is figure out how to build an allyship with our trans brothers and sisters, but also figure out ways to make sure that we're investing. We can't say we are only an ally of this part of the community, and then when the other parts come around, we get our CNI dog and we forget about them. It's about understanding and loving the community as a whole, and understanding that there may be some things that you need to do to support the community. Well, look at here. We got a question from our wonderful audience. Can you all explain the difference between cis and trans? That's CIS versus trans.
Cis is when I was born, excuse me, born a particular gender, and I still identify as that gender in later in life. Trans is that I feel that I'm not that gender in my body, that I was born male, but my body or my mental state, excuse me, is speaking to me as a female, and I choose to transition to my correct gender identification. And cis is the opposite. I was born a male, I still identify as a male, and that's where that comes from. And so we need to love our trans brothers and sisters. They go through a lot in life, trying to just live be their authentic self. And we need to be an ally to help them do that.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Well said.
Are there any more questions?
Absolutely. We have a few questions from the audience. In regards to the topic of topping and bottoming, for those who are exploring penetration for the first time, how can they prepare physically and emotionally to feel safe and comfortable?
One is go slow. Don't rush it. One is learn everything that you can and seek different opinions online and not online, but information. Seek information. And then allow someone that you trust to partner with you. Someone that is not going to take advantage of you. Someone that will learn with you about your expectations or your assumptions, or go through it with you. And so therefore mentally that can help you. definitely be comfortable, be in a space where it can happen and is not rushed, be in a space where you feel that you are prepared, and even if you're not, that the other individual understands and will not take it out on you or blame you for the learning process. And that's what, trust is key.
I don't know too much, but what I heard was
What you had heard was,
work on your diet. That's something that people do not talk about. You're putting something in where things go out is a nice way I can put it.
fiber is key.
Fiber. I also do probiotic pills. I also make sure if I know I'm going to have relations with the partner who is bigger than I had planned, making sure that I am not eating cut McDonald's out your diet. Cut all the crap that you probably normally eating. If you're going to go in that space, prepare yourself for that space.
Also, the right lube is key.
Listen,
Lube is key.
Are these things that we're talking specifically about anal penetration?
so if we're talking about anal penetration, that's one thing. If we're talking about bottoming in like a scene, the reason I tend to go so deep in headspace, if I know I'm bottoming for a scene, I will start meditating and seeing myself in that scene a week to 2 weeks ahead of time. So that's why I can go so deep, because I've already prepared my body and my mind to take the blows. Because if you've ever been spanked by someone on the panel that I won't say their name, MA, they're heavy-handed.
As they giggle.
Lies, all lies.
Again, if I'm lying, I'm lighter than him. But they're heavy-handed, and but when I know ahead of time, I started preparing myself. And so the next question is: topping and bottoming only about anal sex? No, hell no. Because we already talked about it also including in the kink and BDSM community, it could be the one who is the dom and one who is more,
The giver and the receiver.
yes.
So topping and bottoming in a scene such as impact play, if I'm flogging someone, they are considered bottoming for me or to me. And I am flogging them or paddling them or spanking them. That is the position that we have consented to. So it's not just about anal sex. It's about any type of sex where there's a power exchange. So it doesn't have to include penetration at all. It could be mutual masturbation. It could be a number of different things, and BDSM play, mummification and other things where your power is given over to the other individual. And so we do consider that topping and bottoming as well.
Definitely. I was flogged the other day, and it was better than sex.
Well, now,
Do we have time to talk about that? Okay, go ahead.
January.
And I mentioned the book, Topping and Bottoming. It's also on Audible. I also, both authors also wrote the book, Ethical Slut. Those are both, all three are amazing books to read. one of my little brothers considers him is a top, but I told him, before you get in this community and start topping, I need you to read the bottoming book, because I want you to understand what a bottom goes through without bottoming. I call it getting the dildo with enough lube without taking the dildo.
We do have another question from the audience. There was a brief mention about burlesque. What is burlesque, and how does it fit within kink and fetish?
Oh, fun. Burlesque is very, very old art form. Very old art form. It's been around for a very long time. If you're into burlesque history, I advise you to read up on people like Betty Page, and even, our sister Josephine Baker, So that's where you can start with the burlesque, about the history of burlesque. When it comes to bringing that into the kink community, I think there's some parallel with that. There's a sense of freedom. There's artistic, creative energy exchange between the burlesque performer and the audience. There's some play there, and you're communicating, with your movements and getting the fantasy involved, getting even some dominant and submissive energy going on, because burlesque is not always about, oh, I'm just going to put on some costume. I'm not doing just feathers. Now it's a matter of communicating, and it's seduction, the art of seduction. So if you can incorporate all of that, you have yourself a good time.
I see another question.
So the next question is, I'm going to leave this to you because I can't answer this.
You can't answer that one.
Are there any tips in choosing the best lube for vaginal sex?
Well, we don't want to use baby oil. Okay.
Amen.
Why not?
I mean, they're sold out, isn't it? I mean, they already got it.
I almost sang a song.
It's on back order.
Okay. The best lube for vaginal sex.
So would you say water versus silicone?
I like water-based. That's just me. But
Again,
that's just
I would
me.
think it would depend on your body and your
chemistry.
chemistry
Yeah.
and what works for you.
Yeah, I think it's a trial and error, but just don't do,
Baby oil.
thank you.
Well,
So water-based.
what about Vaseline?
But I wouldn't do
Not Vaseline either.
Again, the people might want to know.
that. And that's okay. There is no dumb question. So don't use Vaseline, don't use baby oil.
It's also been said that using lubes that have sugar in it can cause a yeast infection. So if you're using different kind of foods, you really want to do your research online to make sure that you're not setting yourself up for an infection or throwing off your pH balance.
Thank you.
Any other
Well
questions?
There's a question regarding daddies and masters. So power dynamics can feel intimidating for newcomers. How can someone safely explore these roles while learning their limits?
Talking to other people who have been in that situation. So subs talking to other subs. There are subgroups online. There are masters groups online, or daddies groups, or dom groups online as well. So connecting with other people and asking about their experience, connecting and vetting people, going through getting information, again, reading on what the questions you need to ask and how you might feel most comfortable. And then after vetting someone, setting limits and boundaries and seeing how that feels. You can be a sub for a day. You can be a sub for an evening or a sub for a weekend. I've had people who were subs to me for a weekend in protection at an event so that they would have somebody to come to if something happened to them. And get to know people and understand that there are many different situations and various situations that you can put yourself in, but learn the information and talk to other people. Come out of your shell, and you don't have to, you can still be behind a computer and talk to people in these groups and learn.
And in addition to with safety, and this with any circumstance, always let someone know where you are. If you're meeting someone for the first time, let someone you know and love and trust, let them know where you are. Just share the location. Yes, please.
That is amazing. I do agree with all of that. My best friend, one of the things that I will text him is WML, watch my location. Because we already share locations. But if I'm going somewhere that I normally don't go, watch it. There are people who, if you need to talk to someone to help, hi, I'm here. But we're just going to move right along, and we're going to go into these announcements. First thing, the third Sunday of every month. Third Sunday of every month. Come on down. We're here. We normally start at 7 o'clock, and you'll learn something that you may never knew. Next, we want to also remind people about getting tested. When you get tested, you get this amazing toy box. When it talked about role play, I've used some of that for role play. When it talked about relations, I've used some things from the toy box for relations. But simple. All you have to do is you can either come in for the walk-in. It's Saturday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. I'm sorry, Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. You get tested. The prevention team is real nice, though. They don't answer. There is no dumb question. If you're far away, scan that little QR code on your screen, or click on the link so you could get tested, get your toy box, and you will enjoy yourself. Last but not least, we always give room to ask about questions. You can either ask it on X, you can go back to past shows and ask questions. And lastly, we want to thank y'all for showing up and coming. We want to thank Mufasa Ali and MzBeahaven for being here today. And we want to thank Project Vita for having us and allowing us to bless the community. You all have an amazing day, an amazing year. See you all in January.
Stay safe.
Happy New Year.